Topstep versus Apex, the titans of the prop firm industry, the two probably most well-known prop firms out there. I've traded them both. I've traded a few others, but in my opinion, they're the two best choices out there for different reasons. So in this video, I'm going to be going over the pros, the cons, what I think about both, and my opinion on which one is actually the best prop firm. So let's get right into it. Okay, so the first thing we got to talk about is the price of the accounts for both Topstep and Apex. Starting with Apex, they normally will run a 71% to 90% specials, and that makes their accounts super, super cheap. I personally wouldn't recommend getting it on the 71%. I recommend getting it on the 80 or 90% sale, because at that point, you're paying between like about $40 to about $18 just to get a 50K account, which in my opinion is super worth it. And then on top of that, the resets are always half off when they're doing these sales. So on a Trade-Evade account, you're only paying $50 for a reset. On the Rhythmic accounts, I think it's only like $40-ish or something like that. So not bad at all. But that's pretty much industry standard. The accounts on Topstep are also very, very cheap, but they almost never run specials. I think I've only seen them run a special one time since I traded with them, and they did it half off. However, their prices used to be insanely expensive, and so they kind of promote that as being like a special all the time. So, I mean, it just depends on how you look at it. But their resets on all account sizes are also $50. So it's pretty comparable. But from a price standpoint, I got to give the edge to Apex when they're running the 80 and 90% sales, because you just can't beat the price. Let's talk about the accounts on Apex first. So on Apex, you can get all the way up to 300K funded account, and they also offer a static account as well. There's no daily loss limit, and there's no scaling plan ever. On Apex's website, you can see all the accounts that they offer, the 25K, 50K, 75K. They offer 100K, 150K, 250K, and then they offer the 300K and the 100K static account. And then you can also see on the Rhythmic accounts, they offer an $80 reset, and it's normally half off. So it's only $40 to reset the account. But for the purposes of this video, we're only going to be focusing on the 50K, 100K, and 150K. So you can see that the contracts that you can actually trade on Apex for the 50K is going to be 10 full-size minis or 100 micros. Your profit goal is going to be 3,000. Your trailing threshold is 2,500. There's no daily drawdown, like I was saying, and no scaling plan. So basically what a scaling plan is when you get funded, you have to have a certain amount of money in the account to be able to play a certain amount of contracts. For the 100K, it's going to be 14 contracts or 140 micros. The profit goal is 6,000. The trailing threshold is 3,000. And then the 150K, you get 17 contracts for 170 micros. You get 9,000 for the profit goal, and your trailing threshold is going to be $5,000. When you come onto the Apex website, you're going to want to make sure that you get the correct account. A lot of people, including myself, have made this mistake where I accidentally bought a Rhythmic account and I wanted a Trade-Evade account. So make sure when you're on the website, if you want a Rhythmic account, get Rhythmic. If you're trading on NinjaTrader, Quantower, there's a whole bunch of other accounts that require Rhythmic trading, then make sure you get a Rhythmic account. But if not, then make sure that you scroll down and you see the Trade-Evade right here. You need to select a Trade-Evade plan, because if you don't, then Apex, they won't refund you the money. They'll just tell you that if you want a Trade-Evade plan, you're going to have to buy the Trade-Evade plan. They won't give you a refund. Or if you want the Rhythmic plan, then you need to buy the Rhythmic plan. So just make sure that you're on the right plan for you. Apex has a 1-day pass special. They actually have one going on right now. Normally when they're running their 80% off special currently, maybe when they do 90 as well, they also add in a 1-day pass where you can pass your eval in 1 day and be funded the next day. But normally they run 7 days to pass the eval. But the good thing is that you can still hit your profit target in 1 day, and then you could trade micros for the rest of the time, and you just got to open and close it, and that counts as a trading day. Probably the best thing about Apex, and no other prop firm so far that I've seen is you can have 20 funded accounts at one time, and you could trade them all together at the same time, which is absolutely amazing. That's the power of Apex, and the power of scalability is that you can have that many accounts. Apex doesn't offer any live accounts, so they're all basically like paper trade accounts, but they still pay you out nonetheless. And then the last thing is the activation fee varies per account. This one is probably the biggest knock on Apex as far as the money goes for paying for it. So let's go ahead and check out those activation fees real fast. Apex actually gives you two different options of how you want to pay. You can either pay for the monthly, which is $85 a month for Rhythmic, or you could pay one lifetime payment. And then it just depends on what size account you have. So like for the 50K account, you're going to paying $140, whereas compared to the 300K account, you're paying $340. So if you plan on only having the account for a month, then it would save money to pay the $85, especially if you're doing a higher tier account like a 300K account. Then it would probably be a lot cheaper to go that way if you plan on blowing it in just a month. The Trade Evade account's a little bit more expensive. The monthly fee is $105, and then right here is the fees for all the accounts for Trade Evade. The 50K account is $160, and then it goes all the way up to $360 if you're looking for the 300K account. So this is something that you really need to be aware of when you're choosing your account. You need to know how much that activation fee is going to be for the lifetime. Now let's talk about Topstep. So Topstep, they offer a 50K, 100K, and 150K account. They have a daily loss limit, but it won't blow your account if you hit it. And then they have that scaling plan once you get funded. On the Topstep website, they got the breakdown for all the accounts. So you got the 50K, the 100K, and the 150K. It costs $49 a month, $99 a month, and $150 a month, respectively, for each of the accounts. I've only seen them change the price once to half off, but most of the time, this is where it's staying. They're doing this kind of gimmicky thing because they used to be a lot more expensive, but last year they brought the prices down. They said it was for limited time only, but they haven't changed them. So I think this is the new price that they're sticking with. For the profit target, it's $3,000 for the 50K account. You get 5 contracts, and your maximum loss limit is $2,000. So you can only trade 5 contracts, whether that's micros or minis, on the 50K account. Also, they have the maximum loss limit of $2,000, but what they don't tell you is that you have a daily loss limit of $1,000. And I wish they were a little bit more upfront about the daily loss limit, because while it won't blow your account, I wish they would just say that, because they really do have a daily loss limit. It just, most other prop firms, if you hit your daily loss limit, your account will blow, but with Topstep, it won't. So that's at least good. The other thing is they don't advertise the scaling plan either. So on Topstep, you need to have a certain amount of money to be able to trade more contracts. I don't remember the exact amount of money, but from like 0 to I think 1,000 on the 50K account, you can only trade 1 to 2 contracts. If you're trading minis, it's not a big deal, but if you're trading micros, then it can be a little bit harder to grow your account and take profit, and you'll see why in a little bit. But on the 100K account, it's $6,000, 10 contracts, and $3,000 is your maximum loss limit. And the 150K is $9,000, 15 contracts, and $4,500 maximum loss limit. So on Apex, you do get a little bit more drawdown than you do on Topstep, but the profit target is the exact same. Also, you can trade more contracts on Apex as well. Topstep has a 2-day pass rule, but you can only make 50% of the profit target on the first day, or else you have to make more money, and they have a whole calculation for that. But let's say you're in a 50K account and your profit target is at $3,000, you can only make $1,500, or else basically you get penalized, not in like a horrible way, but still just something that you should be aware of. You get 3 accounts funded on Topstep, and you can also hold 1 live account for a total of 4 accounts at one time. But the caveat to that is that live account that you have to be basically invited to their live account program to be able to have the live account. So, I mean, Apex kind of wins in that, but where Topstep does shine is this $150 flat fee to pay for the activation of all of their accounts. So the 50K, 100K, and 150K, once you pass them, you just pay $150 and you're funded. So that at least is a good thing for Topstep. I think they're actually cheaper than Apex when it comes to that, but just barely. Next, we got to talk about the drawdown. So on Apex, they have an intraday trailing drawdown. So what that means is when you start out on a 50K account, they give you $2,500 worth of drawdown. So let's say you're in a trade and you're up $700 on the trade. And then you let the trade come all the way back down to, let's say, $300. What Apex does is they will act like you made the $700, even though you closed at the $300 price. And your intraday trailing drawdown is going to be based off of this higher price up here, the $700 that you could have taken. So because of that, Apex will only give you $1,800 worth of drawdown. Instead, they'll subtract these two numbers right here. They'll subtract them, and that's how much drawdown that you'll have left. They basically penalize you for not taking profit, but they give you more drawdown per account to kind of counteract that. But Topstep does an end-of-day trailing drawdown, so whatever your day ends with, the highest amount, that's what's going to base your drawdown off of. So because of that, you get less drawdown, but again, you can't blow your account in a day, which is really good. Next, we got to talk about payouts. So Apex is a 90-10 profit split, with the first 25K being all your money. You can only request payouts 2 times a month, and you have to have traded 10 days within that window. And what kind of sucks is they only have those 2 payout windows. So you have to request from the 1st to the 5th, and then the 15th to the 20th to be able to get your money. And the other thing that sucks about Apex is that you need a certain amount of money in your account to get profits. Here you can see all of the profit goals that you need to have in your account to be able to actually take money out. So you need to at least be up, I think it's about 1,600 on the 25K account. On the 50K account, you need to be up $2,600, and then like so on and so forth. And it gets bigger the more money that you have. So like the 300K account, you need this $7,660 in profit just to request a payout. And then you can only withdraw a maximum amount of money twice a month per payout. So here are all the maximums that you can possibly withdraw. So you can withdraw 1,500, 2,000, 2,250, 2,500. You know, it goes up and up with the higher the account, but that is kind of a, I guess kind of a hindrance if you're making a ton of money, that you can only take out, you know, a certain amount that they predetermine. But this only lasts for the first 3 months. And then after that, on the 4th month, there's no maximum. So that at least is a good thing. The first 3 months, they just kind of want you to build the account. And then after the 4th month, you can take out as much as you want, and you don't have to keep a safety net. So if you want to take all your money out, you can. Also, this is where the power of multiple accounts comes in, because if you have 10 accounts, then you can withdraw the maximum from each account. So if you have $2,000 in the 50K accounts, then the total payout you're going to get is $20,000. So this is the power of Apex when it comes to the payouts. On Topstep, they also do a 90-10 profit split, with the first 10K being yours. You need 5 green days, not in a row, not consecutive, just 5 green days of $200 or more to be able to take any type of payouts. And they make you only be able to take half your profits. But the same rules apply for each and every account that you have. After you have 30 green days in the Topstep account, you can then take out profits whenever you want. So it really ends up being like a real live account at that point, because whenever you're up and you're satisfied with how much money that you have and you want to take your payment, you can just go ahead and request a payment, and then they will go ahead and give you your money. So that's a big plus on Topstep. This is where Topstep shines, in my opinion, because if you have 150K accounts, it's the same parameters as having a 50K account. So it makes it a lot easier on the larger accounts, because you don't have to make more money like you have to do on Apex. You can also have up to those 3 accounts funded, so you can take a larger payout if you have all 3 accounts funded and you meet the threshold all at the same time, which is also another good thing about Topstep. My only problem with Topstep is if you're in a 50K account, it can be a little bit harder to get to the payout because of the scaling plan. Because they only let you trade 1 to 2 contracts, it's not that they force you to trade minis, but it's really hard to make $200 only trading 1 to 2 micros on ES and NQ, which is what most people trade. So it almost forces you to trade micro or almost trade the mini contracts, in my opinion, and it makes it a little bit more difficult. All right, so going through everything, for the price, I got to give it to Apex. Apex accounts are much cheaper. A lot of people, they load the boat on the 90% off sale. So Apex is the clear winner when it comes to price. When it comes to accounts, I got to give Apex the slight win on this. They have more options for the accounts, and also you can have 20 of them, so you can mix and match 20 different accounts. You really can't beat that. Compared to Topstep, you can only have 3, really 4 accounts if you can get a live account too. So I got to give to Apex on accounts as well. For the drawdown, this one, I got to give to Topstep. Topstep wins on the drawdown because that intraday trailing drawdown can be tough for a lot of people. Even though you get more, it's just, it can be a little bit hard to manage, especially if you're a brand new trader. But on Topstep, you don't have to worry about that. You just get less of a drawdown. So, tomatoes there. I think that's a little bit more of a preference thing. But if I got to give a winner, I got to give it to Topstep. And then lastly, the payouts 100% go to Topstep because you could just pull out profits a lot easier, especially when you're on a bigger account, because everything is the same compared to on Apex. If you're in a bigger account, you got to make more money to get to the payout. So I got to give it to Topstep on the payouts, which makes this 2-2. Okay, so you're probably wondering, after we went through all this, which one do I think is better? And the truth of the matter is, it's really up to personal preference. For me, and my advice to all of you is, if you're a brand new trader and you haven't yet gotten funded once, in my opinion, Apex is a better route to go, especially when they get a 90% off sale, because they're so cheap. You can get an account for like $18 and you can practice. Use it as a practice account for you to be able to learn how to trade and actually have some real risk and some real skin in the game, where you're only risking about 18 bucks. It's not as big of a hit. And then if you blow the account and the 90% off sale is still going on, you just buy a new account. Also, on Apex, you can get 20, 50K accounts, which is a lot of funding. So if you're more intermediate, then also I would say going with Apex to get the more accounts would be better. Now, the way I would use Topstep, because let's be honest, I would get both, is Topstep, I would choose the 150K accounts because you're able to leverage a lot more money on Topstep. And because of the payout rules, it's going to be a lot easier to get the payout on Topstep trading a 150K account. Yeah, the profit target is a lot higher at 9,000 to get funded, but once you get funded, it's going to be a lot easier to get a payout because of the fact that you have way more drawdown and you can trade 1 or 2 minis. It's going to be a lot harder to get to a payout on Topstep on a 50K account, in my opinion. And so that's why if I'm trading Topstep, I'm trading 150K accounts. But let me know down in the description, which one do you think is better and which one are you trading? Are you trading Topstep or are you trading Apex? And hopefully this video could give you a little bit of insight and help you make the decision. But in all honesty, I would go with both. But you could choose one first and then go to the other one. And if you're worried about the intraday trailing drawdown on Apex, watch this video right over here.